right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube, this is Pastor Dow. If you're young, listen to me and I will give you advice. I will give you advice. I will give you comprehension and understanding for the type of environment and world that we're living in. But in order to do that, I have to first expose what they've done to my generation and the previous generations. They have made people believe, to believe that there's a such thing called an American dream, which personally, I want you to listen to me. As a young man, I guess I was just kind of a rebel. I think outside of the box, if you understand what I mean. But the American dream is literally a nightmare. Now, you think about this for a second. I'm going to give you wisdom when it comes to homes and mortgage. All right? They want you to go out here and pay $100,000. I'm just going to use round figures, okay? For a house with a picket fence and a dog. All right, because you get to pay for the fence and the dog. And they want you to live in a housing community to where your neighbors, in some places, you can literally stick your arm no more than maybe 2 arm lengths away, and your neighbor's home is that close to you. And you're stacked up like sardines. But you do get a little piece of acres there for what you will call a yard. And they want you to pay on that thing for 30 years. And then over the course of 30 years, you're going to pay somewhere around the amount when it comes to interest and close to $300,000. That just did not seem intelligent to me as a young man. It just didn't. It never did seem intelligent to me. And of course, my wife, Sister Carol, she like anybody else, she wanted to get caught up in the mess and buy a home and all this other stuff. And I just wasn't buying it. I just literally was not buying it. I just could not see paying and saddling myself in debt for 30 years for a mortgage. Now, while I am not faulting anyone in my generation or the generation that came before me, I am saying this, is that somebody has got to be a revolutionary. Somebody has got to be able to think in each consecutive generation so that we do not repeat the same mistakes of the past. Because it's just not sound wisdom, and it's definitely not sound advice to go out here and tell young folks to go out here, go to school, get in debt. That's college. And now you see that they're throwing people in debtor's prison, like I told you was going to happen. And then turn around and go out here and while you're in debt, go get in more debt by buying a home, what you're going to pay in excess to 3 times the amount of what it's worth. It's nonsensical. It's just not intelligent. Unless you're one of those people that you make an extraordinary amount of money and you can just put a bunch of money to it and have everything paid off in 7 to 10 years, that would be fine. But most of us don't make that kind of money. And of course, the whole reason they want you to go out and continue to keep getting in debt because we live in a debt-based economy, a debt-based society. You see, they know when you go out and you get this home that you're going to spend an exorbitant amount of time at Home Depot, Lowe's, the hardware stores, because you got to have a lawnmower. You're going to have building projects and honey-do lists and all kind of other stuff, home improvements, and it just goes on and on. And what do? You find yourself in debt to infinity. And so then when you look up, you will see a few people that is my age, if they made it that far, by the time they get 50, 55 years old, that they may have a home paid for. But look at the environment now. Now housing prices are tanking. You see what I mean? I have never, ever, ever been one to trust in the system. Forgive me for being pessimistic, but if you listen to me, you can save yourself a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble. I'm telling you, and you can have some good sleep. You can sleep at night. Now, at the same time, you have the people that on the other end say, well, paying rent is stupid. Paying rent is stupid because that's just money you're throwing away. Okay, I understand and I comprehend very well your thoughts and your sentiments. But also paying a mortgage is stupid too, because look how many people, especially during this housing crash that took place in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. Look at how many people who so-called quote unquote thought that they owned their home. And the financial institutions was cooking the books, fudging the numbers, and writing bad contracts. And of course, since they fund America, when they go into the court system is going to be for them and not for you. You need to understand that anytime that you get a lawyer, an attorney, his first duty is to the courts. Do you hear that? His first duty is to the courts, and you're somewhere second and third down the line. And if the truth is, you can go into court and lose a case all by yourself and don't have to worry about paying exorbitant attorney fees. I just got finished doing the same thing a minute ago over a refrigerator. That's obviously, I had a win-win case. A win-win case. But why go in there and pay an attorney for something that this judge was going to end up ruling in their favor anyway? And mind you, I am well within the statute of limitations. But you know what the judge said? She says, well, why'd you wait so long? I'm ruling in favor. And I'm sitting up there, wow. Everybody in the courtroom looks like a sigh of gas. Wow, look at that and stuff. But you know what I did do? I did accomplish something. And I'm still going to accomplish more because I'm going to be running ads in the paper, exposing how bad the business practices, these shady business practices that these people are. And not only that, the court of public opinion, regardless of what these Gestapos have set up, and they in cahoots up there speaking their little language up there and carrying on and stuff, regardless of what they say, the court of public opinion saw, and I'm sure word of mouth in this area is really, really spread. And I'm going to make sure it spreads more. I'm going to hit them right where it hurts the most. Bad publicity as far as business go and in their pocketbook. Anyway, back to you though. You don't want to go out here and saddle yourself with that kind of a debt. What you can do is this. You see, if you're going to live in a community, why not create your own community? Why not create your own community with people who you know that's going to be your neighbor? Because nowadays, your neighbor could be a serial rapist. Your neighbor could be a child molester. Your neighbor could be on any one of these lists right here, and you don't never know what these people are doing. What these people are doing. And I tell you, it's just a bad thing with these so-called quote unquote neighbors today. But if you was to go out and you was to, let's say, go in, but you got to have trust though. And you know, it's amazing in this country right here that we don't have a lick of trust for each other, but we always trust in the system because somehow we feel like that we have a strong arm that's going to back up the word by contract. Now, the Constitution gives you the right to contract, and that's what the only thing you have to do is just make private contracts if your word is no good or if you can't trust somebody else, because today, people's word ain't no good. Today, they will flip out on you in a heartbeat, and act like that they ain't never agreed to nothing or said nothing, and that's where honest truth and integrity, or honor, truth, and integrity comes in, because you ain't got too much of that nowadays among human beings, just a very, very few. But suppose four of you got together and you actually bought 30 acres, all right, and then you over a period of time you pay for that acreage, and while you're doing that, 4 families, while you're doing that, one of you decide to learn how to do block work, the other one decide how to do framing, the other one decides how to wire, and then the other person decides to do plumbing. Now, you pretty much got your home right there, and then you can go on YouTube, which is modern day Wikipedia. I didn't have all this information at the edge of my fingertips when I started this little small community. And let's suppose you do that, and then just over a period of time, probably within a 10-year period of time, you know, if y'all put your resources together, that you could have 4 homes, land, bought and paid for, if you pay for it as you go, and learn how to live simple. Right now, what do you mean live simple? Well, nowadays you can get a shipping container and you can stick it in your yard, or you can go out here and buy one of these little barn houses, or these little houses that they have that looks like storage units. They look like little homes. Insulate those things. Be willing to live content, because I will tell you this: the less you have, the happier you are. Did you hear what I said? I said the less you have, the happier you are. And that is just a fact. And you could then later on, after you get finished with those homes, then you could move into the homes and use those containers, what you had there, for storage units. But and the whole entire time, what you're doing is you're taking these worthless Federal Reserve notes out of the system. You're investing in yourself. Number one, you invest in yourself by this, what you know, because if a tornado storm or somebody came and raided, or a natural disaster or an EMP or something, whatever it is, a world without rule of law hit, if anything hits and stuff, no matter where you go, no, listen to me very carefully, no matter where you go, because you have invested in yourself, you will be able to build another home again. Think about that. So they want you to play their debt game, because this is a debt-based economy, and I'm trying to do everything I can to help save folk. I'm from a lot of heartache and trouble. Do you know how many people who have listened to me on YouTube wish they'd listened to me? And I feel sorry for all these people. You've seen doctors, you've seen lawyers, you've seen nurses, healthcare practitioners, constructions, people working in construction, and owners in different businesses. You've seen people lose their homes, all because, look at this, they lost their job. You see, the only reason why you're in that home is because you're dependent upon the benevolence of someone who you don't know and trust. And in case you hadn't figured it out by now, you can go and work at a job. And you can even have and pay your union dues and fees and all that other stuff. What does it matter when you've been working there 20 years or 15 years or 10 years, and you have the dream that you're going to just work at this job for 20, 30 years, you're going to retire and get a pension, retirement, and then later on Social Security, if they close up shop and ship overseas? Now you're not making that $20 and $30 an hour anymore. And your American lifestyle, because you trusted in somebody else, has now become a nightmare. You hear me, young people? You listen to Pastor Dow, because my generation not going to tell you this, because they got sucked up with the same propaganda. They got sucked up with the same words. And they were under the same illusion as everybody else, because it's hard. It's very, very hard today to think outside the box. It really is. And I'd already started thinking out the box, but I'm beginning to think that, man, y'all must have just called me to be an anointed vessel so I can just warn everybody and save them up from a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble. See, the ideal is the very system that actually takes from you. They're taxing 49% of your income. You don't want to give them no more than what they're already taking. Because as you can see, the United States of America, land of the free, home of the brave, we have more prisons than all the countries in the world put together. And that's sad. That is bad. And we have more people in prison than all the countries in the world put together. And you want to do everything you can to try to stay out there, but you got to be able to have enough vision. If you don't have vision, then you need to have discernment and sight to be able to see afar off, and ears to hear to not repeat the same mistakes of the past. Because they want you in debt, and they want to do everything they can to get you in debt in order for you to so-called live the American dream, which is a nightmare. Let me tell you, the dream is when you're able to live together and dwell with people in unity. And if you follow my advice, and if you listen to me real close, and you, whenever you have a little extra Federal Reserve notes and you put that in tangible assets, i.e. gold and silver, and you invest in yourself. Don't do like my lazy generation. They ain't got time for it. All they got time for is foolishness and frivolity. That's it. That's all they got time for. They don't have time for investing in themselves. They literally just don't. In order to be a benefit or an asset to somebody else, because how we expect for the generation coming behind us to improve when we have determined that we're going to remain dumb on purpose, and then we can't even blame it on fluoride because we're intravenously taking fluoride. We buy it in toothpaste, we buy it in water, and we just keep on and on. See, I'm for sure that family, natural family, that they really truly don't care too much about you whatsoever at all, because the truth is, why do we question the things that we shouldn't question? And the things we should question, We don't question, but we defend them while the whole time they're killing us to death. It's just simply nonsensical. It does not make any sense. But anyway, let's close this out. If you can get 4 or 5 people, make your own community. All right, your own homestead. Make your own rules. All right. And then over a period of years, 10 years, you could have 10 to 15, you could have 4 homes out there. Easy. And you could build it as you go and save yourself from a lot of heartache and trouble. You literally could. Your children will be a whole lot more happy too because you get to create the environment. You're not living next to pedophiles and these people with alternative lifestyles, and your children are growing up confused. There's just so many things I could just continue to talk about, but I think you got it. I think you really truly got it. Because it's inevitable nowadays, even buying used cars. You're going to have to go out and get in debt for a little while if you're going to get a decent car, unless you're mechanically inclined. I was just speaking to the young boys here the other day, and I used another young man. See, Brother Brett, as far as I know, I think he was listening to me when he was 17. I met him in Tampa, Florida at 18. Bright young man. He was there at the meeting. And Brother Brett, the other day I saw him drive up. It was a few weeks ago. And I saw a truck out there in the parking lot. And I wondered, who truck is that? I said, I guarantee I bet that's Brother Brett's truck. Now listen to me very closely. Listen to me very closely. This is a young man that some time ago had already started investing in himself. You know why? Because he learned mechanics. I want you to listen to me. I said, Brother Brett, that's a nice truck right there. He said, Pastor, I had somebody that driving this truck, they didn't want to put oil engine locked up bad. He sold me this truck for $1,000. You know what I did? I went and swapped out the engine and put an engine in. Now I got a truck. I said, son, you are a wise young man. Wise young man. Now, but there's a bunch of variables in this. You see, that young man wasn't absorbing himself in movies. That young man wasn't immersing himself hours on end every day in Xbox and PlayStation. I said that he put the engine in himself. He had enough sense he saw a deal and he took it and he made it. And you know what? He didn't go and pay all these other people to do it. He put the engine in himself. Do you know the only way that you're going to be able to put an engine in yourself is if you first have to inconvenience yourself and invest in yourself and learn? Did you hear what I'm saying? Brother Brent, I think he's 20 years old now. 20 years old. You know how many young men would love to have a nice Ford F-150 truck that he has? And it's a modern one too. It's a nice one too. I applaud him. Very intelligent young man. Very intelligent young man. I think he gets a lot of the intelligence because he's been listening to me for a long time. And no matter how many times I tell this story, and I put this out here, everybody will applaud Brother Brett. But what you don't hear is how much I got my foot up in your rectum. That's what you don't hear. Because while you are applauding him, you receive no correction. You receive no rebuke. How many of you out there have invested in yourself to be able to make a deal like that and to be able to actually get transportation for a fraction of the cost? How many of you out there can actually put an engine into a vehicle? How many can you do that? How many? How many of you can't? No. Most of you can't even do that. Most of you barely even know how to pick up a sewing needle. See, that's the correction and rebuke I'm talking about. Well, I don't like how you talk. Well, hey, listen, be offended all you want. But when a young man has a mind like that, you're going to see the fruit of his ways. You're going to see it. The rest of you, you're going to be dependent on the benevolence of somebody else being kind, generous, and nice, which you are not. And you want them to take care of you. And you want them to do everything for you because you're too stupid to use this mind and to pay for the pain of this mind in learning, the strong learning curve, to invest in yourself to be able to do something. Well, not only that, I actually been this past year. I taught Brother Britt how to lay blocks. He's got a little bit more to go on that, but you know what? That young man gonna know how to build a home if he choose to, or he may be on the community, because a young man like that, he comes in to a community environment as an asset and not a liability. Y'all did you hear what I said? Good job, Brother Britt. Very good job. Oh, believe me, Pastor hears you very well, because I think differently. Young people, don't go out here and fall for this game, because their job is not guaranteed to be there. You can go out there and get a job, and they can fire you anytime they want to without warning. But they want you to give them a 2-week notice, but they can fire you without notice. Amazing, isn't it? What kind of world are we living in today? Well, how shall a young man cleanse his ways? Well, by taking heed to the word of Yah. That's just the truth. I hope I said something to stimulate kind of thought. And you know what? You actually have more capital. You actually have more money left over at the end of the day if you follow Pastor Dollar advice. Do not listen to any of these foolish 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old people. Don't listen to them at all. You follow their advice is going to come from the training that they receive from USA, the country that is under Satan's authority. I hope you just heard the truth, and the truth straight away. I hope I said something to put a defibrillator on your mind to at least start conversation. And if you really truly care about people, pass this video along and let some other young people listen to it. Because my generation, you can tell them this and it still don't register. It still don't register to them. So pass it on to those who are not old and dumb. Pass it on to the younger generation. The people who still have the ability to be able to hear, and so that they can grow by it themselves. I'm telling you, they probably will thank you. And some of you hear this video, and you'll wipe your eye, you'll wipe your mouth, and you'll get up, and you'll act like nothing has ever been said at all. What a shame. What a shame. Pine cone.